America. My name is Osei-Frimpong. I come to you live every Monday and Thursday. Usually I do a show. It's a little bit earlier than what I'm doing right now, but but let me tell you, this show's about Michelle Wu's No Whites Allowed holiday party that apparently Wu is the mayor of Boston, big city, a lot of whites in Boston, and she wanted to throw a holiday party for the non-whites elected officials. And apparently she sent the email to everybody, and the whites got a little bit upset. Or at least some of the whites got a little bit upset. I guess the cool ones understood that, like, maybe everyone didn't want to be on their best behavior at a holiday party. Or Wu wanted to create a space where not everyone has to be on their best behavior. I actually support Wu in this. And I don't think the whites understand how many of us feel called upon to be their best behavior, be on their best behavior when they're around. And so creating space where people of color can relax, and it's not often I say people of color, but I think I'm willing to go there just because she wanted a space where you don't have to kiss white butt or even feel called upon to kiss white butt. And I appreciate the effort. And I'm glad that she did it. And sometimes the whites got to suck it up. And you can say, like, well, when she's a public official, she should have a space for everybody. Like, America is not made for spaces for everybody. America is made for spaces for the people who can afford spaces, which is why there are a lot of white-owned spaces that are just called spaces because whites have the most disposable income diffused among their community. So the private big social gatherings are going to be white only, and then other people on their best behavior. Because that's what happens when capital is racialized. But, so, you go to enough private-ish, public, nonprofit, public-private events in any city with a significant black population, especially in the South, but like in general, and you're not going to see a lot of black people because the organization that puts it on is going to be a dues-paying organization, and black people simply don't have a disposable income at the diffuse level to sustain dues-paying organizations that can throw parties. Right? So in order to be a dues-paying organization like Rotary or something like that, Kiwanis Club, that can throw parties, it helps to have an endowment. It also helps to have it helps to have in your community diffuse disposable income. And, lots of people with time, either old people with time or, rich people's spouses with time. And black people, we don't have a lot of old people. We don't have a lot of rich people with spouses. And so the conditions for creating white-only spaces in America, even if there are black people like in the same vicinity, the conditions of creating white-only spaces are actually pretty easy because you just have to have an expensive space. That's hard to get to, and it'll be white only. And so we just need to understand that it is the case that that the whites are sometimes retaliatory, so that if you speak too freely in front of them, they will retaliate. Having watched my my subscribers donations go down since I've been talking about Israel Palestine and talking about why I'm not a feminist. Actually, I'll tell you that they're retaliatory in ways that they won't admit. By the way, if you're a non-retaliatory white, go ahead and kick in extra $5, $15, $50 a month. Go to www.funkyacademic.com, and I'll keep doing what I'm doing. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing probably anyway. But you should make up for your brethren who are not as enlightened as yourself. And then there's some people, there's like a class of people who subscribe, and then I'll come out with a video they find offensive, so they'll stop donating, and then they come back and donate when they a few months later because I'm dope, and then I'll say something that they find too offensive, so they'll stop from donating. And sometimes they send me emails about this. Sometimes I can just tell, and I just think that those people don't know how retaliatory and really small they are. I want their money, so keep donating, even if you're a fragile flower. Keep donating because the money, I'll put it to good use. It goes to my kids doing cool things. and, you know, trying to grow the channel and all that. But I also want to say that people have the right to have social gatherings where they're not on the best behavior for the whites. And people, I think, should have YouTube channels where they're not necessarily on the best behavior for the whites. One of the reasons why I do this channel is to put free-thinking black people like for public consumption, because you're not going to get this, because most people in my position are worried about their jobs or their incomes. I have different priorities. I worry about like other things, and so I feel comfortable speaking freely because I don't worry about the backlash, because I'm not trying to be anybody except someone who speaks freely and someone who thinks freely, which is, it turns out to be a full-time job. But you can't do that if you're always worried about a white check, and you're always worried about other people who are worried about the white check. So just having a space where people don't have to worry about offending the whites is worth it. And not even and really don't have to worry about it. Is worth it. So I'm glad Wu, did what she did. I respect her for it. I respect that she didn't walk back or say like the party was a bad idea. She was like, well, I'm sorry, I sent the invitation to everybody. That was a mistake. That is my mistake. So I appreciate that she did not walk it back. And we just need to be honest that, non-white people are on their best behavior when they're around the whites. And that's not a great way to be free. And if you want people to be free at a party, then you have to actually create and craft that, set the conditions for that. Especially among that ambitious political class, where they know eventually they're going to have to, suck up to white money or suck up to. So here's the deal: not only you can't even talk to other black people around white people, because those black people, if they're the kind of ambitious part, are going to be scared of alienating the whites, even if you're talking the truth. So you just need the whites out of the room, which what Wu was willing to do. And so I appreciate that. And for some people who say, you wouldn't have a problem with this if this were, a women's function, to give women their space. And then someone mentioned, well, there's a difference between women and men. There isn't a difference between white people and black people. And to which I say, that's not really true. White women and white men are more alike than black men and white men or black men and white women. Like, this idea that sex and gender are real differences, but race is fake, is kind of nonsense. And it actually is a strategy to secure white power, because like the white women will tell you they're on the other side of white men, but they're not. They're on the same team. And so this idea that it would be fine for women to have their own thing, but it's not fine, that excludes men, but it's not fine for non-white people to have their own thing that excludes whites, is garbage. Because, there's a shared problem among the non-whites, and it's the whites. So, anyway, thank you for your time. I appreciate you letting me talk at you a little bit this night. If you appreciate what I'm doing, go ahead and go to www.funkyacademic.com. Kick in $5, $15, or $50. Don't let anyone tell you that white men and white women are on different teams, because that's just not true. That's just not true. And it's a strategy. It's a strategy to like insert agents into left movements to tell you that feminism might be a strategy to neutralize left movements. It's a strategy to insert people who will tell you they're on different teams than their husbands and brothers and fathers and the uncle they're going to inherit from. But it turns out when push comes to shoves, they'll sell you out for the inheritance. All right. Thank you for your time. And I will talk to you Monday. Peace.